Minnesota didn't lose millions of dollars because of a paperwork mistake. It lost millions of dollars because illegal immigrants learned how to game a system that stopped asking questions. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Unfiltered Logic. I appreciate every single one of you riding with me on this journey to 1,000 subscribers. If you value logic over feelings, accountability over excuses, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Let's talk about what's happening. Today, we're breaking down the Minnesota fraud case involving Somali-linked organizations, how it happened, who failed, and why this has nothing to do with race and everything to do with corruption.
Tonight, President Trump ups the rhetoric against Somali immigrants in Minnesota. This comes after prosecutors uncovered fraud that largely benefited parts of the state's community. They say 59 people have been convicted in those schemes, and more than $1 billion has been stolen from taxpayers.
$1 billion.
Despite only a small pocket of the tens of thousands
Remember that,
of
$1
people
billion
in the
have been
Somali
stolen.
immigrant community there being responsible, President Trump, he's attacking all of them.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too.
And now a federal official tells CNN that ICE will launch an operation targeting Somali immigrants in Minneapolis and in St. Paul in the coming days. Camille Foster is back with us. This is not surprising because it is often the case that when something happens, Trump targets the entire community. But in this case, 59 individuals brought to justice or will be brought to justice over this alleged fraud. But now everybody from Somalia should be kicked out of the country?
Yeah. Look, the categorical denunciations are bad. It is also the case, and this isn't qualifying it in a way that abdicates Trump's responsibility for having said it, although he isn't the most sophisticated communicator. Charismatic, sophisticated, not so much. This is how we talk about race and ethnicity in this country. We do a lot of categorical denunciations. For a very long time, it was all about kind of black lives and whiteness and what whiteness does. No one should be shocked that this is how we're talking about Somalians in this context as well. And I think in general, if we were to move away from that kind of categorical nonsense, it'd be a little bit easier to take on board the condemnations of the president in this context, as opposed to having to just kind of do it when it's convenient for us. So that's the first thing I'd say.
There we go, and we nip it in the butt off the jump. That's what I like to see. Listen, every time something happens, every time agency discovers fraud, discovers negligence, discovers illegal immigrants, they always want to bring it back up to Trump. I don't know if they realize, but this is how things have been going on for years in our country. Whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Asian, whether you're Hispanic, there are stereotypes based off of what people are found doing often. So if you're found doing a lot of fraud, if the Somalis are found doing a lot of fraud in one community, then yes, he's going to group them up and say the Somalis. He's not going to sit here and dance around and beat around the bushes with you. That's not what America does. We're trying to make this about Trump. Once again, of course, CNN wants to make this about Trump. But it's not. It's about the fraud and the negligence in our communities around our country. And if we can't see that, then that's the bigger issue.
I do think that responsibility for this sits with the president. He ought to be a hell of a lot more careful. It is completely inappropriate to condemn an entire community for the failings of a particular community, but the failings of particular people in the community, but the failings of those people are real. And the actual scandal here is genuinely egregious. And there are lots of political actors who ought to be condemned. And I do think that we do ourselves a disservice when we don't try to interpret this in a way that allows us to both condemn the categorical statements here that are, again, irresponsible and wrong, but also acknowledge there is actually a real controversy here. There's something that ought to be addressed.
I think that everyone acknowledges that this is a real, not only a real controversy, it's a real criminal case. And these people are being tried. However, Trump is basically saying he literally has said they don't contribute anything. They should go back. We don't want them here.
I think what he said was that people who are complaining, et cetera, and who come from these bad countries, that they are bad and we don't want them here. Again, I think that's how most people who support the president are going to interpret this in a generous way.
But
this is really the latest panicked scapegoating because Trump is in real trouble in a lot of areas. He fell asleep 4 times during this meeting, by the way, which is raising even more questions about the energy level.
I didn't hear them say any of that, Biden.
Yeah, apparently we've got the war crime situation. Voters increasingly know. He said he was going to bring prices down. Prices are not down.
In fairness, though, this is the deflection that I'm talking about. There is a legitimate issue
and
here.
any instances of fraud is not prosecuted.
The failure of Minnesota officials who actually permitted this kind of nonsense to take place.
That's not why
wait a minute.
That is precisely why people are talking about it. That is why the story
The governor of Minnesota, who didn't answer any of the whistleblowers or the warning signs on this scandal, who swept it under the rug, nearly became the vice president of the United States.
Precisely
and
right.
everyone
And
in the
is running
American
for
news
re-election.
media
Nobody cared
ignored this.
then.
The New York Times is just now reporting on a scandal that's been years in the making. Why?
And the stories were-
Why didn't they do a deep dive? on
Because
Tim
they don't
Walz?
care about Tim Walz.
Hold on.
How is this possible?
Wasn't it Merrick Garland of the Biden administration that brought many of these charges in the first place?
Yes, and Tim Walz.
So are you
it
really
happened on Tim
suggesting
Walz's
that
watch.
Democrats ignored it, even though a Democratic
Tim Walz is an
there was
incompetent governor, and yes, he ignored
the
it.
Attorney General of a Democratic administration
It's a state
prosecuted
program.
the case.
It's fraud within a state program in
but
Tim
look,
Walz's administration.
Now, this is exactly right. Once again, we don't want to take accountability. Being a Democrat means take no accountability, push the blame on other people, and say, hey, orange man bad. This is exactly why Donald Trump got the support of the black community that he did, of the young community that he did. This is why he won the presidency, is because instead of saying, hey, this issue that you guys have, the way you guys are fixing it is not the right way, let's try this. You guys just say, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Orange man bad. And that's not how it works. That's not how things work in life. You have to take accountability. You have to evaluate the situation, and you have to find out the best solution. If you guys have a better solution, I'm all ears. But every single time, it comes down to the same thing. Orange man bad. That's your only argument for everything. Every single thing. Whenever he was in the presidency, when they were running for president. Oh, well, why would you vote for Kamala? Oh, well, because Trump. Because I hate Trump. Because orange man bad. Because are you a MAGA supporter? And they will sit there and slander you and talk bad about you, but they will not talk about the issues at hand and how to solve them. If they have better ways to solve these issues, I'm all ears. But every single time I hear any solution being solved by Donald Trump or by his presidency, you guys want to say, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. But in reality, you guys don't have any solutions. I ask, hey, look, all these people who say, oh, yeah, I think the illegal immigrants, the ones who are doing crimes, should be deported. Oh, okay, well, you think they should be deported? Oh, yeah, but I don't think that they should be deported the way that they're being deported. The way that they're doing it is all wrong. Okay, what's your suggestion? What should we do? How should we deport them? I hear nothing. Never do I ever get a real answer of how we should go about it, if not the way that we're doing it. And the thing is, we don't even know what type of research, evidence, and documentation they've already found. We have no way to find out how they're vetting exactly who these illegal immigrants are. But we're quick to say, hey, they're doing it the wrong way. You don't know what they're doing. They could have good intel, research, documentation, and we're just sitting here saying, oh, they're doing it wrong. You should do it the right way. I like what he's doing, but I don't like that he's doing it. Or I don't like what he's doing because he's doing it wrong. What's the better way, Democrats?
Here's the question that I have. Trump has now put a target on the back of Somali Americans all over the country. Mm-hmm. I understand, Camille, what you were saying about the significance of these fraud charges. What I am asking is it legitimate in the United States of America in 2025 for anybody who is from a particular nationality, whether you are Somali or Afghan, to be painted with the brush of any other person who happens to be from a similar ethnic or a country of origin, to be painted with that same brush? Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing?
Group slurs are wrong. Let's get that out.
It's what we do. I mean, that's what America does. We've been doing it for hundreds of years.
Of course it's wrong. And it's very reminiscent of what he did with the Haitians, right? They eat cats, they eat dogs.
Wait a minute. This is
very reminiscent of him calling Haiti a shithole. It's very reminiscent, particularly if it's a poor country, particularly if the people in that country are brown or black. Yeah, he
Wait a
has
minute.
no.
This is a
qualm.
culture-wide thing. This is a culture-wide thing. I mean, these phrases are thrown around all the time, and group slurs are a bad idea. But we get toxic masculinity, the patriarchy is wrong. Like we are all shorthanding a lot of
is the
slurs.
patriarchy wrong or not?
Can I just say?
I don't know. I mean, but look, I don't think those are the same. I don't think those are the same thing. There are 59 people
That's a lot
who
of
have committed
people.
fraud.
59.
There has been a lot of fraud
In
in
one
these
community.
pandemic era programs. 3,500 defendants charged, billions of dollars. Donald Trump, literally in the last week, has pardoned or he commuted the sentence of a American fraudster,
Okay.
$1.7 billion worth of fraud. So people who are white are defrauding folks. People who are black are defrauding folks. Americans, Somali Americans. Why is it that suddenly all Somali Americans don't deserve to be here because of individuals who committed crimes? Why not this guy?
Now, what she's going to say is she's going to bring up another American citizen that has been here, born here, gained the citizenship from being a citizen, not from immigrating over and then coming in and committing fraud and using up all our resources. See, here's the thing. We'll sit here and we'll be like, oh, they always say black people are the face of food stamps. Black people are the face of welfare. But then when we sit here and we say, hey, look, all these illegal immigrants are committing fraud to get all of our food stamps, all of our welfare, when in reality, we have all these illegal immigrants taking all of our benefits. And then we're getting told, hey, you guys are the issue. If you guys would just go get a job, the black community has been told for years, if we would just go get a job and stop asking for handouts, then we would be better off. But here it is, we're seeing that it's actually been fraud going on, and not to mention statistics show that it is mostly white people, elderly white people, who are on welfare and, food stamps and all those different things. But here we are once again talking about, oh, why are we making it about this group? Why are we making it about that group? Because they're committing fraud. We're not going to sit here and say, oh, all American citizens should get out because they committed fraud. No, the Somalians who are coming over here to do this specifically, they already have it set up. A lot of these immigrants, they know what they're doing before they come over here. Why do you think it's so many of them in one community? 59 of them in one community. What these immigrants do, they come over, they find a place where they want to make a community, they build a community, they invite all their friends to come back from their country over to here in America in the new community, they build their community up, and then they sit here and they already know, hey, look, when you come over, this is how you get this benefit, this is how you do this is how you do that. And then you're wondering, oh, how come they come over here and they can just start businesses? It's because all the benefits you're supposed to be getting, they're getting, and you are funding it with your tax dollars. But here we are talking about Donald Trump instead of the issue. So it's always going to be an issue as long as we're worried about the president and who the president is and what he's saying instead of what the actual issue is. You guys are worried about the wrong things. And for Democrats to be progressive, you guys sure are showing me quite the opposite. You guys don't want to solve the issue. You want to blame somebody. You want to point the finger at somebody. Why not Trump, right?
Trump just let off scot-free.
About billions in fraud
We
because of Donald
all
Trump.
agree that the fraud story in Minnesota is bad, and yet the topic we're discussing is not the fraud scandal. It's Donald Trump talking about
Or the governor who swept it under the rug.
This is why he won in 2016, and it's why he won in 2024, because
I
instead of
think that you would
talking
have a
about
stronger
exactly why he
an
won.
outrageous situation in
I
which
think you would have a
immigrants who were
stronger
given
argument.
the greatest privilege on earth, American citizenship, turned around and stole from the American people. We're talking about how Donald Trump talks about
of all backgrounds.
That is his
Hold on,
superpower.
Vatia. People of all backgrounds steal
They
and
do.
fraud, okay? It would be a better argument if we were talking about a case that was not being prosecuted, about justice that was not being served. But it is happening in this case, and it is wrong that this happened in the first place. But the question, I think it is a fair question for innocent people, regardless of whether you are from a country that Donald Trump doesn't like or a religion that maybe he doesn't like, do you have the right to exist, even when somebody who has the same characteristics as you does something bad?
Yes, you have the right to exist in your own country. They don't even like this country. They don't like you. They don't like your culture. They don't like anything about you. They want to come here, build their own communities, and have it be just like the country that they were in. They don't want to be anything about American. They don't like Americans. They come over here, they look at you as food. They look at you as a come up. They look at you as a dummy. They look at you as a retail conception. They don't want anything more from you other than your money. And then they send all their money back home so that they can build up their country while they tear down ours. And here we are saying, do they not have the right to exist? Yeah, they have the right to exist. Sure, exist all you want. But if you come over here and you want to commit fraud, you need to go back to wherever you were and commit fraud there. Don't commit it here. Go do it over there. I don't want to pay any more of your fraud. My tax dollars do not need to go to your fraud anymore, period.
Of the American people by immigrants, it's just utterly unacceptable. And it is a unique rule when people have been
granted a privilege.
Let me make this point.
Fleecing of the American people by immigrants.
Yes.
There is mass fleecing of the American people that is happening by Americans every single day. I think most of the fleecing is happening by Americans.
Took advantage of our generosity, and that is uniquely
Okay, let me get a word in edgeways. Let me tell you where there is massive fleecing going on by some immigrants. In Miami, in South Florida, by Cuban-born immigrants who have defrauded Medicare. 75% of the arrests and convictions in South Florida for Medicare fraud to the tune of millions and millions of dollars is by Cuban-born immigrants. 40% of the arrests and convictions on Medicare fraud across the country is from Cuban-born immigrants. But that is a community that by and large supports Donald Trump and that Donald Trump likes so much. So he wouldn't think, it wouldn't occur to him to say, Cubans are garbage and I don't want them here.
I'm just not sure that
clearly they don't understand how a chain of command works. Now, Donald Trump isn't just sitting here with all this information on his desk and he's saying, you know what, let's go get Minnesota, let's go to California, let's go to New York. No, what's happening here is ICE agents and Border Patrol agents are coming to him telling him, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is the intel that we found. This is the fraud that we found. It's going on here, here, and here. There's some stuff going on in Minnesota. We got some Somalis that are committing this much fraud. And Donald Trump is looking at it and saying, okay, you know what? You guys already have all this. Go get this guy. Go to this area. All right, great. You guys already have that going on. He might come out here and make a public statement about it. But most of the time, the commander of the Border Patrol or the commander of ICE is the one making that decision. I don't know if you guys realize, but there is a commander there, basically a general. It's kind of the same thing of an army general. He's actually looking at all the intel, making the decisions. They may run it by President Trump here and there, but for the most part, President Trump is getting this intel and he's releasing a statement about it. He's letting you know we're going over there. He's letting you know that we're going to fix this issue. Now, he might take the credit for it, but at the same time, you know, you guys give him the blame for it. But at the same time, he's not going to be the one making the actual decisions. Border Patrol, ICE, they're the ones finding all the intel. They're the ones deciding where to go. And as far as, the Cubans support him, and that's why he would never. If the Cubans are committing fraud, get them out of here too. We don't need you here. If you're committing fraud in my country, get out and do it quickly. You can self-deport or we can come and get you. It's completely up to you, but you need to go. And I'm pretty sure that once we get the intel and the documentation for Miami and the Cubans, Donald Trump will be on the same page. There's not just a certain specific group of immigrants that he's wanting to get rid of. I don't know if you noticed, he's been in Texas, he's been in Florida, he's been in California, he's been in New York, he's been in Chicago. They've been everywhere. Wherever, now, of course, they're going to start in the cities with the highest crime and the ones that were, what do they call it, sanctuary cities. Of course, why wouldn't he? That's where they're all sitting at. The Democrats actually shot themselves in the foot, tricking all these immigrants, saying, hey, you guys all come to this city. We're going to take care of you. It's a sanctuary for you. You just round them all up to one spot. So now whenever they come through the community and they get all these people, you're like, hey, why you guys keep coming to our community? We don't want you here. You guys put all the illegal immigrants in one spot. And now here they are. They're coming to get them. And you guys don't like it. This is absurd. This is completely absurd. It's egregious the fact that we will sit here and talk about Donald Trump instead of the fraud that's going on. They haven't said more than 10 words. They haven't listed more than 2 facts about these Somalis and the fraud that they're doing. But they're sitting here talking about Donald Trump over and over and over and over and over. This whole topic has been about Donald Trump.
Kind of speculative conversation is as valuable as having a particular conversation
there's
about.
speculative about what I just said.
Say,
this is
well,
facts.
you're speculating about what he would do with respect to Cubans.
100%
speculation.
Have you heard him talk about Somalis before this incident?
Derailed. That is still speculation whether or not he would in general. This specific circumstance, however, does merit some attention. The Times wrote a very great, exhaustive piece. One dimension of it that we haven't talked about here is the fact that racial justice and unique concern about people being condemned for discrimination is one of the reasons why this fraud wasn't identified, pointed out, and better policed. That is really interesting, and I think for people on the left who helped agitate for a lot of those issues, that actually helped
Camille,
create this
we got to go. But what
problem.
about the fraud that's perpetrated by just white people? Are we
I think
just
all
afraid
fraud
to condemn
is
white
generally
people
bad, and we should not
we're
be
afraid of
condemning
that
people
too?
on the
I mean,
basis
look,
of their ethnicity
there's
or
fraud
race.
that
That
is
is
happening, and a lot of this COVID fraud was not identified and dealt with.
Yes.
So this is not a unique situation to Minnesota.
Does this lady hate Americans? She keeps talking about white people, Americans, all these people in America that are committing fraud. Does she hate America? She wants to talk about the Americans that are doing wrong in their own country. Yes, it's a crime to commit fraud in America, but it is a bigger crime. It's a dual crime to come over here, be a legal immigrant, and commit fraud. Even if you got your citizenship, you're coming over here. It's a privilege to be here. And you're coming here, you're taking advantage of the country that you were privileged to be in. So why do you think that this should be okay? Why does she like these foreigners more than she likes her own American citizens? Why is it that she likes these other countries' citizens more than she likes American citizens?
Ain't no capping in my logic, this that real talk vibe. From the south where the grind don't die, we survive. Mind sharp, money right. Truth be the topic. Welcome to the game. This unfiltered logic. Ain't no sugarcoating here, just truth in the topic. Speak facts, not feelings, that's unfiltered logic. Pain made the hustle made profit. I learned from the struggle, now I profit off logic. Ain't no capping in my logic, this that real talk vibe. From the south where the grind don't die, we survive. Mind sharp, money right. Truth be the topic. Welcome to the game. This unfiltered logic. Ain't no sugarcoating here, just truth in the topic. Speak facts, not feelings, that's unfiltered logic. Pain made the hustle made profit. I learned from the struggle, now I profit off logic.